It is a overcast day here in the middle of the Midwest. Welcome back, guys. I'm your host, Nixon the Dark. Oh, I'm sorry. I really need to work on this Canadian apology, this sorry. I want to really master that for my portfolio of unattractive behaviors. Today, why is it that apologizing is so unattractive to women and to men? Let's start at the beginning. Why do we even ever apologize for anything in life? Let's just say that for the most part, apologies are for like careless, negligent, reckless behavior where you did something that had a result that harmed somebody else, but you knew better. Or perhaps you engaged in deliberate harm at a time and then later on realized it was a mistake. You're an adult. You're a highly, highly intelligent man that's working on building your own value. After the age of, say, 25, when the male brain becomes fully formed, how many mistakes have you truly made in your life that merit an apology? Our speculation is very few. Yes, we all have a period where we need to mature out of certain things. I'm not immune to that. I've done a few things, especially in my early 20s, that I regret and needed to apologize for. But they are few and far between once you reach a certain point in your maturation. With that said, how often is an apology truly merited? Almost never. Anybody who's followed cultural commentary over the last 10 to 15 years are familiar with the concept of a social justice warrior. This was born out of online culture, but essentially it's this predatory practice of looking for ways of being offended by things that other people say and then extracting apologies from them, extracting concessions and trying to either acquire status or resources from somebody by trying really, really hard in a predatory fashion to find some mistake that they made, which, again, if you go back to, was this truly a mistake or was it something that somebody just exposed that they could profit from? Apologies are rarely merited. Let's take the context of an interpersonal, perhaps romantic or sexual relationship with a woman. Let's just say you're involved with a girl. I know, it's a fantasy scenario, but let's assume you're in a relationship. You're involved with a woman, and at a certain point, hot and heavy, great, she was really into you. And at a certain point, things started to seem like they wore off. Things became either mundane or all of that fawning, like glowy eyed. I don't know what the phrase glowy eyed means, but she would look at you with these bright eyes that indicated all of this attraction. Now she kind of looks at you with like contempt. And in fact, she may be even pointing out behaviors of yours and giving the indication that she's extremely offended by certain things that you're doing. You didn't come to a complete stop at the stop sign. You put the dishes back in the wrong way. You didn't make the bed in the morning. You failed to do any number of small tasks. And she is absolutely offended. What's your response? You're a conscientious man. Look at that. It's sunny out all of a sudden. Let's see how the edit goes. Let's see if we edit this right. All of a sudden it goes from cloudy to sunny and then back. Who knows? So you're a conscientious individual. She is signaling that she's been truly offended by something. And you have this impulse like, sorry. Why wouldn't you feel like you need to apologize? You're a well-intentioned, adult, intelligent man. Of course you feel like, did I do something wrong? Do I need to apologize? If you've been following our content, and the assumption that we make if you've been following this content is that you are really smart. So you are going to get what we say next. It's going to fit well with everything else we've been discussing up to this point. When a woman in a situation like this is nitpicking you for all sorts of chicken shit behaviors and giving the impression that she is deeply offended by how you've behaved, she's actually saying, I no longer find you attractive and I need you to burn in hell and rot in jail because I used to think you were hot and now I no longer do. And I'm being a little mean spirited here, but this is essentially what's going on. Her chicken shit criticism of you are a referendum on your attractiveness. They're not a referendum on these actual behaviors. She no longer finds you attractive, and This is a deeply offensive development for a woman. This is based in hypergamy. It seems insane to you at times, but this is how hypergamy works. That filter that women have to filter out unattractive men, which is to say weak men, that filter is so powerful that if she even has a backward looking instance of saying, this guy got by me unfairly, she resents you deeply. That's how strong the hypergamous filter is. And psychologically, she is offended by your lack of attractiveness, which is to say, your lack of value, your lack of strength. So, in this situation, you must default to the male protector algorithm. Part of the reason we say that is because for a woman, morality is inextricably linked to male value. Your value is her morality. That's the nature of hypergamy, in which case, wrong and strong trumps right and weak. What do we mean by that? If she already doubts your attractiveness and has decided for whatever reason that you're no longer of value, you're no longer attractive, then she's going to see these things as wrongs. She's going to see herself as being wronged by you. But we've just established, how many times have you actually done something in your life that merited an apology? And being unattractive is not something you need to apologize for, even if that's what she wants subconsciously. So you have done nothing wrong. So allow her to think you've done something wrong. Your job is to be strong. And even if she's out on you, your job is to be strong for you, not for her. You are strong for yourself. That's why we always say the male protector algorithm is for you. It's building value that you get to keep. That is significantly more important than being right and weak. What do we mean by that? You cannot right a wrong that never existed. And when you attempt to do that by apologizing, what you are doing is sending a weak, low value signal to a woman that you are trying to manipulate her emotions. You are trying to appease and accommodate her emotions out of fear. This is the primary motivation of an apology when you know you have done nothing wrong. If you have to take a second to actually ask yourself, did I really make a mistake here? That's fine. Take a second to reflect. And by the way, occasionally, if you're in some sort of a relationship, a woman will be right to have expectations of you. But that's different than a woman demanding apologies or at least acting offended and implying to you that she needs an apology for this to be a harmonious relationship. Keep this in mind. Focus on building your own value and recognize that when a woman is behaving in this way, she's basically saying, I'm no longer attracted to you. And depending on what level of commitment you're at with a woman, you have to ask yourself whether it's worth sticking around, especially if this starts to fit a pattern. I've been in this situation. A lot of you guys have been in this situation where things were going well. Something happened. And by the way, it can be a mistake that you made, like not an apology level mistake, but like, okay, yeah, you started to signal low value. That's not something you apologize for. You want to correct for it, but that's not something you're apologizing for. But you're signaling low value, and all of a sudden the attraction is not there anymore. And it starts to develop a pattern. Nothing you ever do is good enough. And at a certain point, you're like, why am I even bothering? The attraction is not there. The intimacy is, for the most part, begrudging at best, which is even worse than no intimacy at all. So you just have to ask yourself, if you're able to, can you move on? Because once it sets this pattern, it's rarely going to change. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and final thought, when you're in a situation like this, the actual way to atone for this perceived wrong is to be more attractive. It is to not apologize. The problem with that, though, is that once she has made up her mind, it probably won't do much to change it. But you be attractive for you. You build value for yourself, and then you just move on and you retain that value for the next person who wants to participate in it. Take care.